Hello, Star Wars fans. Hey, you know there's just 199 days until Christmas 2022. Oh, and today we're going to talk about that Kenobi episode. I was just over at the Dinner Nerds Live listening to Josh this morning. We made some changes to the agenda today. Normally, we would have my friend, a Magic Maker, joining us, and we would be doing some fan film review. In fact, when I posted the video late this morning, that was in the agenda, but a Magic Maker got called into a meeting, and there are other things I think to talk about. So I would like to just focus today on the Kenobi show, and we will kind of involve you guys. So our plan, there's a couple of changes we've made to the channel. One of them is on Thursdays for now anyway. Going forward, we'll start with the fan film review and then transition into community stream, and we'll let you guys come on and talk about whatever the Star Wars topics are that are of your interest. The other change that we have is this one. So over in Patreon, I've added an area where you can ask questions. So the way this works is sort of like super chats. Right, so if you would like to ask a question you'd like reviewed here, it's unlimited super chats if you want to look at it that way, and you can become a Patreon member for as little as $1 a month. And in there, you'll see where there's a discussion thread, and then as I read those questions, we'll close that discussion thread and move to the next. And we already have several for today, and this is going to be something that we will continue on with from here. So, hey, Baymax is on a plane. He's on his way back over to the U.S. He's been over in the U.K. for a little while. I see Mike, Miss Marvel's my jam. Porter's here. Speaking of Miss Marvel, I was seeing all kinds of great reviews of it yesterday. People really, really excited about it. I watched it last night with Mrs. Claus. Right? We sat down to watch it, and I was like, yeah. And all that. I thought it was okay. But it's a premiere. But yikes! It's not really my thing. I really like Stargirl, DC's Stargirl, better. So far, I'm liking that better. But we'll let Miss Marvel get its feet under it and get running. She hasn't even gotten her full outfit yet, so it's a start. It's a start. Hey, Meg's in the chat. Good to see you as well. So hey, that's what we've got on cue for today. I have included the link to join here in Melon to our community. I put it in Patreon. I also put it in Discord. I reckon I should probably put that same link in YouTube for our subscribers only. So let me do that here real quick. And then as you guys start to get into the queue, we'll bring you in one at a time. So let me first of all get into into my channel here, and then go into the community and post that chat. Post the link for anybody that just wants to join here. There we go. And I need to make this for members only. Channel members post. So there you go. That link's there. You guys want to join in the discussion, you could do that right off the top. There's Mike Porter. I love you, my friend. There's some discussion to be had about this Kenobi show, right? I'm seeing a lot of folks with negative takes on it, and to be honest, I watched it yesterday morning, and I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. And Meg was in the chat, and she was a little salty in the chat, but I think Meg overall liked it. Not necessarily. She's got her problems with it for sure, as well as yeah, and there she is right there. All right. She's got her issues with it for sure, but I didn't really understand. And to me, it's a lot like coming out of The Last Jedi. I came out of that thinking, wow, that was great. That was awesome. I loved it. And then I get online and I'm like, yikes, what happened here? And so I'm having a little PTSD after that Kenobi episode because I loved it. And then I get on and I see people not taking it well. Our friend X-Wing, for example, I watched his view of it and my heart broke for the man. Look, he's a good friend. And I'm like, dude, what? Really sorry that this is hitting you that way. And then, just conversing with people throughout the day, we've had this discussion. So I thought it might be nice here to have the discussion with you all. And I will say as well that I thought Josh Lucas was handling it fairly well this morning, saying, "Hey, don't think about it too much, and sometimes you just gotta enjoy it so for what it is." Star Wars has never taken itself that seriously ever, and sometimes when you try to connect the dots too much, it can make you crazy. The other thing, Josh, I thought made a really good point about. Hey, I see people in a lining up here. We'll bring you on in just a second. Josh was bringing out the grifters have not helped with the discussion, right? They've not helped with the discussion. For Star Wars fans, who we just want to talk about Star Wars and we want to talk about it, the grifters have made it really hard because they've made all these hate videos for so many years, and to get these open, honest discussions of fans, just being fans, it gets kind of rough. So we're going to kind of get away from that as well. And the other thing that I wanted to mention, and I thought he was kind of on point about, is it's okay to like Kenobi. It's okay to like The Last Jedi and all of these. And at the same time, think that, hey, Lucasfilm, we'd like you to keep getting better. We'd like you to keep getting better. I'm tired of the discourse going on in our community. So I've seen Man on the Moon's been in and out of the back room a couple times. But Green Bear, you're here.
Hey,
Good to see you, my friend. How you doing today?
just enjoying my lunch here from this army base I'm stuck on.
I was in the U.S. Army. I always, as a kid, I went to air shows and stuff, and I thought the Air Force was going to be my future. And then I got older, and I auditioned for the United States Army Band, and it was probably the biggest mistake I ever made. I should have auditioned for the Air Force Band. That's the difference between those branches of the service is night and day. But here we are. So thanks for joining in. What are you thinking?
I wish Kenobi wasn't getting all this negative static from people. It's just, I don't know. I'm looking at it with glossy eyes because I'm just still happy to have it, but I know there's flaws. So,
Yeah, yeah. I feel the same way. I'm enjoying it. I'm having a lot of fun watching it, and to me, it's kind of disappointing to have so many of my friends who are not liking it, and still feel really good about it.
I honestly, like, my biggest takeaway from that episode, and I'm putting out a video about this as soon as I can get to a working microphone, but is I couldn't help thinking after I watched that, like, did Leia and her stupid droid just set back the rebellion like 5 to 10 years from these events
Well,
so far?
potentially, right? Potentially, yeah.
Like on Jabim, you've got all the makings of like the spark of the rebellion, and it looks like that's going to get just annihilated in this next episode or two.
Well,
Hey, it's
and
good.
I've got my friend Jason Ward here, and because as soon as you mentioned that, I was like, well, okay, we're gonna have to talk about what you're alluding to. Is yeah, there is going to be an annihilation on Jabin. Isn't that right, Jason?
It's true. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
there's going to be a confrontation of sorts, and yeah, I'm like with the scale of the show from like what you hear versus what we get. I don't mean this as like an insult to the show, but like I was saying yesterday, if you hear like yeah, there's like all these like force sensitives and they're like all getting in the battle position and like they filmed that for like 2 days, you could be like, oh man, this is like the battle of Geonosis again. Like it could be that big, but it could also be really small. So I don't want to. I don't know how many there are, so I don't want to like overstate it. I want to oversell it, overpromise. But
Right, right.
Right. From what we're hearing about the budget, it sounds like it's going to be pretty small. But
it sounds like it might be it might be on the smaller side. And and how many Inquisitors are there is the other thing to like take into account. Like how many if you were to throw every Inquisitor we've seen in the show into the fight, for instance, how many Jedi could they, or Force sensitives, could they be fighting at one time realistically? Unless it was just them tearing through them like they're paper dolls, like scissors.
Well, and how well defended are the community on Jabim? That's the other part of it.
Right.
I think what really disappointed me about this episode was just like going into it, I was hoping that we were going to get like some more background story, like meet some Force users, Quinlan Voss, and then just kind of get like that whole aura going. And then we were there for like 2 seconds and they skipped off to their next mission,
Yeah.
Well, on my side of things, that's been like the general like vibe, but it was all of that happens in 5. So we got like our preview. We got a little bit more from the 5 content in this in 4 than I expected. And so
That's good.
So
That's good.
yeah, so it doesn't. So you might get that. That's what I'm trying to say. You still might kind of get what you wanted. Like I think that's why they did like the quick kind of like with Broken, like, hey, I won't join you. You shouldn't be here. Okay, I'm in. Let's do it. Like it was like on a drop of a dime. He goes right from A to Z, and which was surprising because I kind of like when I heard that, I thought it was like gonna have a little bit more of a little bit more waiting on the planet and in the sinkhole and exploration. And like they didn't even really address it that it was a sinkhole. You don't really even get that unless you're really paying attention.
It kind of felt on the rewatch like they just cut the scene. Like there's no dialogue. Like Obi-Wan literally says like one sentence and all of a sudden he flips the script and changes his mind. It's like, what did you guys just do right here? Like, he couldn't have poorly written it like on purpose that way. I don't know.
Yeah, it seemed like they might have had a longer take of it with a little bit more subtlety and a little bit more conflict on Roken's part, and then they might have done like, let's read through it really fast and see how it plays, and the editor might have just chosen that one.
And that doesn't make sense either because this is the shortest episode. Like you could have gone another 10 minutes, like there. I don't know.
Well, there's also something to be said about the pacing of the story they want to tell. And feel like that pauses you too much on part of the story that they aren't wanting to focus on as much right now. So,
maybe.
And I see something else as well in the discussion overall. Is if you were to take out all the intros and outros and just piece this together as a movie, and this is just one chapter in the movie as you're watching, right? As you're watching through. How triggered would people be over this 20-minute section of the movie?
Yeah.
If it's a 2-hour movie.
I watched all 4 last night. I watched all 4 of them in a row last night.
Yeah.
Skipping the intros and just kind of like went through, and I really think the series, if it had dropped all at once, like all 6 parts, like how Netflix does, it would play a lot better. It does play better.
I want to see it after 5 and 6 come out, right, and see how it ends and all of it plays out. But I think that's another part. So, Green Bear, I wanted to give you a chance to talk about what you want before we bring in our next guest. So, anything else that?
Yeah, absolutely. So first off, Salty Texas Ranger.
Yes.
This is Green Bear, aka Nerd Mafia. But also. I missed kind of most of what you're doing this week just because I was busy. Did we talk about like the Amber Tomb? Like what the hell that is?
No, we haven't. We haven't talked about the Amber Tomb. It's pretty cool. First of all,
like, are they alive? Like, why did
I don't think so.
His helmet?
I think they're preserved as trophies. And
Gotcha.
Might there be another purpose in being able to harvest DNA from them, much like in Jurassic Park, right, where they harvest the DNA from the mosquitoes to make the dinosaurs? Might there be part of that in Palpatine's plan? Yeah, maybe.
I think they might be bait, like in Rebels. How
Oh
they
yeah,
put
Right.
Luminara in the little thing and use them as bait. Maybe they're keeping them fresh, so it's fresher bait.
that is another. That is
Star
another.
Wars Meg, Green Bear is in no longer the best card boner.
Right. Makes Jason sad too. He loves that
Uh,
name.
Beskar Boner is the classic. Classic, you know?
The wife was not loving it. I had to get rid of the name.
Hey,
I can
buddy,
appreciate
that's
that.
between you guys. That's between you guys.
Right, right. Keep the best boner in the bedroom where it belongs. I'm just. Thanks. And yeah, you've kind of rebranded as the Nerd Mafia. I love it. It's really good. Really good.
Thanks. See where it goes, see where it takes me, but I'll give somebody else some room to jump in here, I guess.
All right. Thanks a lot. I appreciate
All
it. Catch
Thank
you
you.
later. Bye. All right. Well, let's bring in Kendall. Also Normie's the nerd. Right there. Hey, Kendall, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. How are y'all doing?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Dealing with the aftershock of the community's reaction to this episode.
Yeah, man. Like I don't know. I 2 months ago I wouldn't have seen this. I didn't see it coming. Like I was worried about this happening. Like when they before the trailer and everything like that. But after the trailer came out and people were so hyped on it, it didn't worry me about this coming. But honestly, like I try to be as positive as I can, especially when it comes to Star Wars. But it's really this show and what it should be, as opposed to what it is like really making it really really hard to like focus on the good because I mean they're all shows have issues, right? There's good things outweigh the bad for the most part when it comes to a good show. But to me, it's reoccurring issues. Like every episode, since episode one to me was perfect, but episode two, three, and four, I've had issues with the writing, with some of the scenarios that happen, so where it feels like they're just making moments happen so that it looks cool and maybe can satisfy folks, but they don't really care about how they get there. So, for example, like the fire scene in episode three, they just wanted people to look at that and make a connection between what happened on Mustafar and what happened with Vader. But then, like, what is actually? I mean, I feel like episode four really just crapped on that scene in episode three. Like, to me that doesn't really make sense. It's like they're just throwing things at us just to make us happy without caring about how you get there and without caring about really the connectivity there. I mean, it's just so many little things, especially with episode four. Like, I just lost it whenever they're taking Leia out in a coat and they get out of there. They get that far when it's a high alert situation, and Leia is in a jacket. Like, you got four legs at the bottom of a jacket. Like, I'm sorry, you just cannot.
That doesn't bother me though. That doesn't bother me at
That
all.
bothered the heck out of me.
Yeah,
Like,
I've
bothered
heard
the heck out of me.
I've heard a lot of people complaining how Looney Tunes that is or something like that. Look, I had to get over that with Jar Jar Binks in the Phantom Menace. Pulling his tongue, let it come back in, and wrap around in his mouth, like all that. Like that came straight out of Tom and Jerry kind of thing, right?
Well, I
That's
don't even
just like,
consider it that cartoon. I'm sorry to cut you off. I don't consider it that cartoon. I just put her in a box, put her in a drawer, like do something like under a jacket. Like that's just not realistic for someplace that's unlocked down with somebody that's wearing an oversized jacket with something poking out of there that's not an alien. It just, I'm sorry to cut you off.
well, no, that's okay. And I heard the folks over with Star Wars Newsnet. I was watching their take of it this morning, and they mentioned the same thing that there was and I can't remember which one it was. Maybe John Hoey mentioned that there was like an experiment done where you brought a bunch of people into a big crowd, like a train station, right? Or airport, and you got people walk around, and you have like three jugglers juggling, and people catch them, but then you could have something bizarre happen right behind them, and nobody notices at all, right? They just like what that happened. Like they had a guy, I think a guy who went through like wearing a bear suit, like just as a big grizzly bear, like walked through, and they were like, "Well, but did you see the grizzly bear?" And they're like,
This is a
No.
lot of mental gymnastics to justify
Yeah.
a comedy bit.
Yeah,
I'm going to say.
Yeah, to me, well, that's a good point too, Jason. That I don't take any of it that seriously, and and that's sort of where I was getting to with like the Phantom Menace. With the prequels, I had to give up on that. The prequels broke me, right, a long time ago. a long time ago, right? It broke me. So it's taken me like 20 years to get to where I am now. And I can't say that I have that great of a relationship with the prequels yet. But I'm in a better place because I can't, and I know Josh was making a big deal of it. I just don't think about it that deeply. All right, it's not that deep. Don't think about it that much. Just let it go. Like it's a comedy bit, or it's like this is how they got out. I'm like, well, that was kind of weird. Okay, and I just let it go. That's
see,
just me, though.
But see, I could probably do that if there wasn't reoccurring issues in episode 2 or 3. Like
Hmm.
it's like the for me, like for example, in episode 2, Reva could see the shootout happening on from the rooftop. Like she could see the shootout. And the shootout seems like it took forever, but Reva is jumping from rooftop to rooftop, but she doesn't catch up with Kenobi until he's in the thing. Or then in episode 3 with the fire scene, and then with it's just all of these kind of for it to happen week to week, it makes it to where like I'm sorry, I can't overlook. Like it's making too much overlook for me.
I understand.
Like that's just yeah, that's where it's coming. Because like I'm dude, like I could overlook stuff I can overlook stuff a lot, but I overlook Kenobi coming out of the water absolutely dry. I overlooked that completely.
All right.
Like I was like I thought about it, but then I overlooked it. I was like okay, whatever. But
Yeah.
no, like it's just those kind of reoccurring issues. So I mean, I guess my last question before I get out of here, like for me personally, as much I kind of like Kenobi at this point. It's kind of like average or okay. But with all this going on around it, do you think that Kenobi should have even been made at this point? Like, was it worth it to really go dive back into this and make Kenobi right now with everything that we're going through halfway through?
That's a good point. Look. I'm enjoying the series tremendously, and they're meeting or exceeding my expectations for the show as a whole. But I'm me, right? I can only be me, and looking at the fans' reaction, the fandom as a whole, and where we've gotten even through the last couple of series, like the Book of Boba Fett, anything. I don't know that the fandom is ready to accept anything with the legacy characters that isn't just what they want, right? And it's and that's so hard to meet because you got millions of fans, and there's a large divide in the fandom over what we want. And when you're given something that doesn't meet your expectations or your desires for a particular character, in this case Kenobi and Vader, right? And they're telling a different story than the one you want, then that's not going to work. So to me, I don't know the fandom is ready to get any more content with the characters they love.
That's
They're
true.
just not. We're going to have to move on to characters that nobody has a relationship with to be able to move forward as a group. It's sad, but you do. I want to almost right. I'm trying not to get too like salty. uh, like fans don't deserve to see their favorite characters. They don't deserve it. That's just me.
I actually really love the story. I love the acting and the performance. My whole thing is just has been having to accept the way it connects together is very TV. Is like that it's not a film.
Yeah.
And it walks this line of being so cinematic at times that it fools you, and then it starts to make your expectations of what it should be different than what it is. And like that, it's a weird place. It's almost like if it was more TV, it would just be way better. But the fact that it feels like it's almost a movie, or that it should be a movie, is just what kind of shifts it up, and makes it harder to accept. But like I said, when I watched all 4 of them in a row last night, I had the best viewing experience I ever had with it for what it's worth. But
See, and I'm opposite because I tried to do that, Jason.
you
And I
tried,
got to like
yeah.
I got to
I'm
episode
sorry,
2 and
man.
like episode 2 was like that's when it like the rewatch is when it's like really getting to me. Like the first watches are like great. Like watching episode 1, 2, and 3, the first times were great, but then I went back and rewatched them, and they're just like that's when it like really gets like, wait a minute, what am I watching here?
Yeah.
So then like it put me on high alert. It kind of put me on edge for episode 4 to when it's just like a snowball effect. But
Yeah.
hey, I have hopes that episodes 5 and 6 can be dope. I mean, I've seen shows where like the first 4 episodes like end up losing me. Like it's kind of I'm going through the roller coaster high on episode 1 and then coming down. But then I've seen shows pick it up back up on the last 2 episodes. So
Yeah.
hey, I'm hyped to see. Hopefully, like it can pick back up and they can save it. But for me, it's like, bro, why did y'all even make this show right now? Like
What would
knowing
save it for you?
where you are as a Star Wars.
At this point, do you
I
think?
mean,
Do you know? Is that a fair question?
honestly,
It's not a
like
fair question, you know.
no, that is a fair question because it's like what like it's kind of like what are you looking for? And like
Mhm.
I'm looking for more of that interaction. Like one, Vader was propped up. I'm looking for more Vader, like because I was expecting more Vader in this show in a way.
Hmm.
So from that, and then also too, like if you can satisfy us from a lore side of things, like hopefully when we get, I'm not that big into spoilers, but if we get like Qui-Gon to come in, right? Like we
Mhm.
get some of those like some Force stuff that actually pushes us further along
Don't hold your breath,
with
man.
Kenobi.
No,
Oh
I'm
my
kidding.
God.
No.
Oh, okay. Look, but like, yeah, like I said, if it's just some things that like kind of either lore wise build things out that pushes things further with Kenobi or that type of stuff, that's that would kind of make it hype for me. Like really, the saber, like the duel, like it
Mhm.
really won't do it. And also too, as long as the story just they tighten up the story and make it make more sense between each scene, that would be able to cap it off. But like it's
Yeah.
that's honestly what I'm looking for, and I'm hopeful. Like I'm really hopeful, but it's just right now, bro. Like, but look, hey, thanks for
Fair
letting me
enough.
come in here
Thanks, Kendall.
and
I
spout it out,
appreciate it.
Santa. I
Hey,
appreciate everything you do,
I really
man.
do. Thanks, Kendall. Appreciate it. Take care. I've got another person in the back room. Give him a little heads up that it's coming. Mr. Lopez, calling from South America. So we're going to bring him in next, and I see his mic and his video are off. So I want to give him a little bit of a heads up that he's coming soon. So we'll let the live stream catch up. Yeah, I think that's a really good question, Jason. You asked Kendall, like, what would it take to turn the show around for you as a fan? And Meg, I've been watching you in the chat. Daryl and Darren, we've got a lot of great folks in the chat. And I wanted to also address another point that came up, and it's something that kind of eats at me. Is I see where, say, X-Wing or the folks over at Echo Basics Network, some of our friends who insinuate that if you like Kenobi, that you're not a hardcore, you're not a devoted, you're not an educated fan.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, to me that's tough. That's a tough thing for me to chew on, because it seems like they're not accounting for all of the fans who have invested their lives and invested so much of their interest in Star Wars who do like it. And there's a lot of people that are that way, and they'll discount like Alex over at Star Wars Explained, or you or me, or even Sheev the Wise. There's a lot of people who say that kind of thing, and I'm like, what? But wait, the folks over at Star Wars Newsnet, and I know you don't get along with them all that well, but still, they're guys that the three of them, they spend a lot of their
The time asking what's an exclusive. I know it's
yeah. I know. Well, there's Mr. Lopez. Hey, good to see you. Thank you. One of my very first subscribers. Appreciate.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm here on video. I am just expecting to watch the stream.
It's good. So, what are you thinking?
I'm in chat, so it's weird.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I've been watching. I've seen you there. So, what do you think, my friend?
Yeah, the thing with this show is it's hitting me weirdly. I don't know why, but the thing is, I'm seeing a few different silly things that took me out of the story completely. Like the way Tala escapes those stormtroopers when the alarm goes off. You know, I replayed that part like 5 times and I couldn't stop laughing, guys. You know, and at one point I thought to myself, like, why am I laughing? I love this shit. I mean, I enjoy the show overall. I think there's a lot of story points that can pay off eventually, and I'm past all the agenda things, and I'm not even considering that. Even though my wife pointed at me the first episode when she saw Riva, she said, oh, "Okay, here we go again," and like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about? Yeah, I'm past all that. I'm not even mad about the things I consider that could be better, like missed opportunities and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I can be mad at those things anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I still think this could be good.
Excellent. So overall, you're having fun watching the show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Excellent. Good.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. And I know you're in Argentina, is that right?
Yeah.
It's fantastic. It's fantastic.
I think were the top toy Star Wars figures from Argentina? Top
Mm,
toys? Was
no.
that the Star Wars?
It's made Masters of the Universe here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
That's very good. That's very good. And then I shipped you a whole box of toys. Have you managed to get a hold of those yet? Are they still sitting in Miami?
No, I'm flying to the United States in September. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm staying 3 weeks for vacation in Florida, and I'm getting those boxes finally. Yeah. Sharing pictures and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, that was my very first big giveaway. We were building up to it for when I met my monetization goal and all of that. And for all of my subscribers at the time, they got entered in, and we had a bunch of prizes. But the grand prize was an entire collection of toys off of a line, and our friend here won that entire collection. So. It was an exciting time. It was really, really fun.
In my life.
Yeah. All right. Anything else you'd like to talk about?
No, not really.
That's it. Well, thank you so much. It's good to see you, my friend. Take
See you,
care.
man.
All right. All right. Hey. I don't know if this is a threat or a promise.
Right.
Oh no!
I'm gonna dress up like the fifth brother and talk to her like she's Riva from now on. Meg, you're reckless. What are you doing here?
Oh my goodness! It's good. We love Meg. Meg is a dear friend, and the content she creates is, in my opinion, like the best. So. Looking forward to talking with her about this as well.
Can I just mention Kendall's like perspective or attitude about not digging it is like actually really, really strangely refreshing. Like I'm bummed that for him that he doesn't like it, but it's nice to see somebody go, I'm not really digging it, but not go into this full on man baby fit mode. That's like the equivalent of thrashing around and tearing your posters off the wall. I wish most of us were just kind of like that. It's a little bit more mature.
Well, that's right. And here's Meg. Talk about man, baby. No, Meg.
Hello.
Good to see you, my friend. First of all, it's been a couple of weeks since we've been able to actually talk.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
I'm doing well. I'm doing good.
Good. You sound great. So go ahead. We've been waiting for it.
I don't know. I mean, I'm having Book of Boba Fett syndrome with this one. I kind of saw the positives in yesterday's episode, and I woke up today with zero interest in Kenobi, to the point where I read that Mandalorian article, which I covered on my channel, and just got so excited. Like I haven't been since season 2. So I think I fear the next 2 episodes are not going to deliver, but I'm still hopeful.
Well, yeah, and I know you're familiar with the entire plot that Jason's released. Yes. Is that what has you hopeful? Is the execution of it? What is it that's got you really concerned?
I suppose based on episode 4, because even though Jason's leaks have been pretty much spot on, it's very different on screen. Exposition was terrible, cinematography's off, it looks like a fan film. I'm just wondering where all the budget went towards. And I think I saw this on Reddit, but the whole season so far feels like the first draft.
And they've been developing this one since 2017.
Yeah, we know it's not first draft because it's gone through several revisions, and that they've turned a little bit, turned some of the story points along the way. But I rewatched it again last night with my wife, and
Can I ask?
Yeah.
How's your wife rolling with it? Is it entertaining to her as a normie?
Yes, she is a normie. She watches Star Wars reluctantly, only because I'm such a fan and she knows what I'm up to. And so she watches it reluctantly. Sometimes she complains that, hey, I watch your shows. You need to watch some more of mine. So I asked her last night after the episode was over, so what are you thinking? Is this enjoyable? She goes, yeah, it's enjoyable. It's good. That was all she had to say about it. Yeah. And then we watched Miss Marvel after that, and it was like, ooh, okay, well, it's just getting started. We'll give it a chance. So
yeah, I still haven't started that yet. I still haven't seen it.
Yeah, I think both of us liked. Well, she even liked Star Wars better than Miss Marvel. So hey, there's that. Nate, the budget went to Ewan and Hayden. It could be
maybe,
but I would say at the end, that the sequence there at the end as they're escaping Fortress Inquisitorius, that one to me on the rewatch was pretty from an effects standpoint, from the cinematography, as Meg was talking about, through all of that was rough, and it did look like it was rushed. Like it just maybe needed a reshoot or maybe needed some more post-production. The lighting was weird. The effects were odd.
I mean, Vader was the same color as the fucking wall behind him.
Fair enough, Meg. Fair enough on that one.
Because I took screenshots of the episode to use in my breakdown, and I had to squint. I was like, is that Vader or just a random wall?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Do you guys think, just based off of without going too spoilery and specific, if there was like a huge flashback that should come, is that going to change everybody's mind for the general fan consensus? Is it just going to be like instant fan service on that route, and then everybody's just going to be like, yay, oh my god, it's everything I signed up for, so I got Disney Plus?
It might be like The Rise of Skywalker, where people had rose-colored glasses on after they heard Anakin's voice and the Force ghosts and everything. But then I think that will slowly clear. Similar to how Boba Fett had the Attack of the Clones flashbacks, and then now we just forget about all of that.
Yeah, just kind of shrug it off now.
Well, and that's somebody was messaging me yesterday and asking me, like, okay, when we get to this flashback scene that we're expecting with Hayden and Ewan, like, we can see Anakin and Obi-Wan full on, right? Then how significant is that scene going to be? Is it a 30-second and it's gone? Is it broke up through the episode like in 10-second clips? Or is it a significant, we get, 5-10 minutes of we get to spend with them in that in that scene?
For what it's worth, what's like really going on here for the most part is that, like, when they talk about Saber School,
yeah,
like Hayden was there for a bit, and he wasn't there for Darth Vader. They're making everybody think it's for Darth Vader, that he's in the suit doing the Darth Vader. They were going with that for quite a while. So could it?
Because I think he told everyone he was Darth Vader. The whole press tour was him being like, "Oh yeah, I'm Darth Vader now. It was great to play Anakin in the prequels, but now I'm Darth Vader." So maybe that's why people think he's Darth Vader.
Yeah, but but lightsaber fighting as Darth Vader. No, not too much. Not too much.
Yeah, they've got
as Anakin. Yeah.
Yeah, same thing with Mandalorian, right? When a lot of times when the more athletic or the more what's the term I want, gymnastic like kind of work is not Pedro, right?
Yeah.
It's the same sort of thing. Like when you see Vader doing, you know, fighting with his laser sword, that's not necessarily going to be Hayden.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, if the Mandalorian gallery was behind the scenes of Pedro Pascal, it'd just be him in a hotel room with a microphone,
Right.
muttering his lines.
Grogu, clean your room.
Right, and so that's something else I see a lot of criticism is that people came into Kenobi expecting the bulk of the show to be Hayden and Ewan. When a lot of it is Ewan, right? He is certainly the most predominant character in every episode, right? The whole thing about bait and switch or something else, I don't think is necessarily fair. Because
I mean, thank goodness Ewan McGregor could act. If he was Tamar Morrison, this show would be terrible.
Ooh, shots fired, Tim.
I loved him. I loved him, but he's not Ewan McGregor.
That's true.
He's not necessarily like leading material. Yeah, I agree on that.
Yeah.
I'm not disappointed though. I know everybody is. Everybody's having a bad Christmas, but I'm not really having that bad of a Christmas.
Me neither. Overall, I'm very positive on the show, and I've been watching each episode at least 3 times. So I watch it during the live. I watch it with my wife, and then I typically sit down after those 2, and I'll watch it again, just like with blinders on. I'm not thinking or doing anything else. I'm just watching Kenobi. So to me, it's entirely rewatchable. I'm enjoying the episodes on rewatches as much or more than the first time through, for the most part.
I'm the opposite. I'm really the opposite. Yeah. I mean, the other day I was trying to click on American Dad. I accidentally clicked on Book of Boba Fett, and I audibly was like, no, not again.
Fair, and that's why I say, and I know you were giving me a hard time in the chat as well, that expectations of fans is so across the board, right? There's such a diverse base that I don't know that there's any one show that they could deliver, say on Kenobi or Boba Fett, that would please everybody. We're pretty evenly fractured.
I disagree. I think that's a very easy cop out.
You think?
I think Kenobi was an easy home run, but of course, open goal, and they missed.
How would you say that it's an easy home run? You got. Let's say you have 2 hours of content, 3 hours of content to make in 30 to 50-minute increments. What's the show that makes everybody happy?
I mean, that's the $1 million question, but I'm saying there are tropes that could have been put into the show that would easily have made it much better than what it is. And I'm talking about really, really cheap things, like even situations where you don't completely change the show, but just add a bit of fan service here, get John Williams to reprise some of the themes, which we thought he was from the teaser trailer, play a bit of Battle of the Heroes in that first fade. Like, they've really missed very key opportunities to include things that would have, for me at least, made the show so far feel so much better in terms of continuity from the prequels. And so far, it's like, I don't even see this as part of that Star Wars continuity, just as I don't see Book of Boba Fett as part of Boba Fett's story.
Yeah, you know, Meg, I was messing around with the fight scene. Like I had it in a premiere, and I was messing with like Duel of the Fates because I had this idea, and I was curious if this was a problem. And like when I was putting like Duel of the Fates and Battle of the Heroes against what they shot doesn't live up to that music. That's what sucks about. I mean, obviously he's supposed to be running around. So when you put that stuff on there, it's too epic for what they shot. And that's my fear of the final duel, is that we won't get Duel of the Fates because it can't. It literally can't sit with that sound the visual can't match it.
So
That's
then
what
you
I'm afraid of.
remaster it, or you re-record it with synths instead of violins, and you don't have as big
Yeah.
of an orchestra to make it a bit less. You know, there are literal people on YouTube like Samuel Kim who make incredible Star Wars mixes of all sizes. You know, some of them feel humongous and epic and huge, and then some of them feel like, you know, made for a video game, and that's deliberate. And I feel like they could have struck a balance there.
Very good.
Yeah.
Just if you guys are, my wife just came down. The countertops are finally going on in our kitchen. Finally.
And I decided Kenobi sucks.
Oh
no.
But you know, my mood today was going to largely be influenced on these countertops finally
All right,
being
I'm
installed, because they've been delayed like 3 times. We're more than 2 months behind when they were supposed to be installed, and it's a great day in the household in Santa's house today. So sorry about that. I was for anybody that was like, what's Santa doing? That was it. So Meg, you and you guys were just talking about, and I mentioned this a little bit. I think yesterday, that the soundtrack is, and I can't remember, Meg, if it was you or somebody was talking about, look, Mandalorian, to have a different soundtrack, different composition is fine. It's not, I mean, it's something new, right? The Book of Boba Fett being somewhat new, somewhat okay. But here you've got 2 legacy characters tied into the legacy story. Right? This is a bridge piece between Revenge of the Sith and New Hope. To have so little of the original score in it is maybe a missed opportunity. I'm loving the score. I'm loving the soundtrack, but I also get the point. Like, maybe if it had more of that in it, then people would just feel more of the nostalgia that comes with this story.
What I'm so surprised about is they didn't use any of the Star Wars Rebels Kenobi stuff. I thought, okay, maybe John Williams won't be involved, but maybe they can get that little motif that they play every time Kenobi's mentioned or the Force is mentioned in Star Wars Rebels. You don't have to literally copy and paste from the original films.
Yeah. You know, when Spielberg was making E.T., Williams had finished the suite for E.T., the main theme, before the film was edited, before it was done. And Spielberg heard it and he was like, oh, you know what? Instead of you doing it to me, I'm going to do it to you. So he edited the end of E.T. to that music. And it's brilliant. That end of E.T. is brilliant for that reason. It's like one of the best, probably better than anything in Star Wars for John Williams, honestly. And one of my hopes the whole time was when they were doing the final duel, they were going to have all of the music kind of already done beforehand. We know Duel of the Fates, we know Battle of the Heroes, and it was such a opportunity in the methodology to do something just like that. And I was hoping that they would, but from what I have heard, that's not the case. Which kind of just makes me go like, you know, I don't know what I'm hoping for the best, but I'm not sure if that final duel is going to make it into the books, so to speak.
But I don't even think the music is the biggest problem.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just feel like if you go back and rewatch Revenge of the Sith, which I did the other night. Sorry about this. If you go back and rewatch Revenge of the Sith, can you, honest to God, and I guess my my gatekeeping would be, you have to actually enjoy Revenge of the Sith to begin with. This isn't for someone like Santa or people who don't like the prequels.
I love
it. If you can go back and rewatch Episode 3 and honest to God say this is a good continuation, I'd be very, very surprised.
Yeah. I like Episode 1. I mean, that's where I paid attention to it, and from Revenge of the Sith to Episode 1, I don't have a big problem with it. When we get into like the middle part where we start to get like to the 4th episode, that does feel like something entirely different. But I'm okay with that, because we're just in a different era of film and TV and all that kind of stuff. And that's where, but it is weird. It does sit differently. It's TV is the problem.
I agree.
This should have been
Maybe
a movie.
this wasn't for TV. This should have been a film.
Yeah. I think everybody's going to always have a problem with the fact that yet they're seeing like with the Marvel shows. I might be wrong here, but for the most part, like we're not really seeing like Iron Man on TV. This is kind of like our Iron Man and Captain America, and now they're on TV, and that's a bit weird, I think, for fans to take maybe.
Yeah.
You know?
Real quick, I just posted the Melon link to Discord for just anybody who's in Discord. We started off with just our members only. Give those people a chance to join. But if anybody else is wanting to join, and you're not a subscriber or a Patreon member, that's now in our Discord, and the link to Discord's in the description here as well. So you guys can find it there. Boy. So Meg, yeah, I know this last episode kind of took you out in a big way. As we asked earlier, what would it take, or what are you hoping for that'll bring you back in and land this overall at the end where you could go back and rewatch it with enjoyment? Or is that ship sailed?
I think that ship sailed with probably the Book of Boba Fett. Just the way they make these things feels cheap, despite the ridiculous gargantuan budgets. And I know people are going to strawman this and say, well, it's, just a nitpick. But how hard would it have been to throw in Watto on Tatooine, or Jar Jar, or someone who actually connects to the films? Because it's really been obvious how much Lucasfilm despised the prequels. I mean, hiring J.J. Abrams was the first grenade on the franchise in that sense.
Yeah.
And it just feels like with all of these shows that have ties to the prequels, they want to do a little bit but not go all the way.
Well, I hear you. Really
and I know
clearly.
people will take what I said out of context and they'll strawman it.
Of course they will. But that's the internet. The internet does what the internet does. But one thing I would just add to that part of the conversation is how in tune do you think Lucasfilm is to this kind of feedback? Look, for me, I'm enjoying this show tremendously. I'm having a great time. I am still very high on it. As I said early in the stream, my heart's broken for the folks that are really struggling with it. For X-Wing, yourself, and others who have taken it, much worse than I have. My heart breaks, but I'm enjoying this. I'm having a great time. But how much do you think Lucasfilm is giving any credence to the complaints?
None. They'll just look at what people on Twitter say and call everyone toxic. They'll say it's just a toxic portion of the fandom, but they don't realize that you can be a regular fan who loves Star Wars and not enjoy everything. But the people on Twitter will tell you, well, how can you not enjoy every little thing of this? It's perfect. It's like, no, it's not. Get over yourself, for fuck's sake.
Well, and I think it's fair to say, look, for myself even, I'm having a great time. I'm loving this, and I would like it to get better. Like some of the editing and the post-production of episode 4 could have been tightened up. The storyline as a whole could have been tightened up. How did you get Rob on your side, Meg?
I love Rob.
He's now Rob's yours now. I gave him to you. He's gonna be showing up on. You're gonna be like doing it, like explaining the news, and he's gonna be there, John, going, "Yep, yep." little window like this big in the corner.
And like Left Coast Graphics says, that's the narrative you hear. People say, "Just be happy you got something Star Wars." It's like, no, we pay for the subscription service.
Well,
actually, let's back that up a little bit though, because if I went to the movies to go see this and it was a film, I'd be paying about $20, and I paid about $8. Just throwing that out there. Price
16 if it's over 2 months, right?
Oh, I'm in California. Everything sucks. Everything's expensive. So, yeah, fair enough.
It's still cheaper than a tank of gas. to
No,
drive.
but to go back to like what Meg was actually getting at, like for me, if the films come out, if Taika's movie is made in Los Angeles, as we're hearing, and it's made in the same spot using the same stuff and looks the same, that's going to be massively crushing to me, because I could let it go. I could let a lot go with it being a streaming show versus it being a theatrical film. But when those theatrical films come out, it better look better than episode 9, because it's 2023, 2024 by the time it comes out, or 2025 probably. So it better even look better than episode 9 as far as I'm concerned, or that's just going to be.
So here's the other thing. We know there are folks that people are generally high on, right? John and Dave, and who specifically up to this point, Deborah Chow, people have been really positive about up to now. They're starting to lose some of the sheen for her and some of these things. But what about within Lucasfilm? Are they just in a Lucasfilm echo chamber? Like, they're really, really proud of what they're doing. They're really high on it. They're really hyped on it. They're excited about it. They're loving it, and they're completely out of touch with anything outside of the walls of the company. Or are they getting this kind of feedback internally? Are John and Dave happy?
Well, I mean, that's impossible to really say, but I think when it comes, people see Filoni, and they're like, oh, he's the guy. I mean, when you get down to it, like, what Filoni didn't do the Kenobi series. Why don't we ask ourselves that? And it's because it's way harder, I think, than making up an original story that you're inspired to tell without any baggage all the time. Like, that's the thing. Ahsoka, fun story to tell, I'm sure, because he's like, oh, I just get to go write Ahsoka. This is what she's doing now, because I said that's what she's doing now. Not because George Lucas said she was doing this, 35 years or 40 years ago. Yeah. And everybody's going to get hung up on a line, from a film. Like, he doesn't have any of that stuff. I think what Meg said about that you can't use it as a cop-out is 100% true. But I also think that what you were getting at, where if it's a new character or a character whose history isn't necessarily written, bookended with history, it's open and it's easier. It's better. Yeah. It's going to be fresher.
Yeah. We got somebody in the backstage ready to bring in just a second. We also have a super chat here from Star Wars Fitz. So Fitz asks, do you believe Nari was killed by Inquisitors and strung up? Or did the people of the town kill him to hang him up, to show the Inquisitors that they're not on his side?
I have a question about that. Did they not hang him around his neck because they had to keep this 12 plus?
I think there's too much, especially here in the States, tied to that imagery that is not palatable for anything. Yeah, I don't think you're going to see that. Like, that imagery's too difficult.
And then let's just be real too. If they did go that way, then there would be those weird, those certain that group would be like, oh, so now Reva's lynching Whitey. That's where they would take it, and it would be So I think there's a lot of reasons to go that way. But when I first heard the story of this, it was implied that it was the Inquisitors who did it for what it's worth.
Yeah. So and I mentioned we have this Patreon is their website's not responding. I've opened several browsers to try to get it open. So I've got the questions here on my phone. We treat them as super chats now, and I've got a real good one from Astromech Jeremy, which is one of Meg's wonderful supporters, who has come over here as well.
Astromech Jeremy, is it just beep boop bop beep boop bop?
I thought that was Gina Carano.
Astromech Jeremy. Oh no! He's actually quite a talented person. He's an entertainer. But he asks, how do you balance analysis and critique side of Star Wars from your other job? Right? Me, I'm a computer programmer. Right? I build applications, stuff like that. So it says pure fun and getting lost in a story side. And being a Star Wars fan, I struggle with letting one ruin the other, and I don't want to spend the new golden era of Star Wars not fully enjoying and savoring what we're getting.
Golden era, my ass.
Yeah. So how do you not? And for me specifically, maybe for you as well, that just how do you balance being really analytical and looking at things from an analytical mind rather than just maybe with childlike wonder watching a show and turning off the analytical side that tries to make sense of everything. And that's it for me. I just kind of when I watch Star Wars, I understand that it's silly and often doesn't make sense, and sometimes it's stupid, right? Sometimes it is, and I've gotten to a point now where saber copters, I just laugh, all right? I belly laugh at it. It's just so funny, and it's so stupid. I just like that makes no sense. Okay, off they go. So for me, I could turn that off. And I've mentioned this before. The prequels broke me, right? They completely broke me, and that's what taught me to be what I am now.
I think that's really interesting because I'm starting to realize people like you don't get George Lucas's vision. Because if you don't like the prequels, you just don't get what he was going for. And that is fundamentally what Disney Star Wars is.
Yeah.
It's the film side and the TV side of Star Wars without any of the magic of what made Star Wars special in the 80s.
Yeah, I appreciate the franchise for what it is, the escapism, the space fantasy. But yeah, George Lucas made me mad, and I haven't forgiven him, and the things that he's done. So yeah, I don't share his same perspective. I would have said that before. I would have said that during the prequels. Like, I don't like this guy's stuff, right? I like Star Wars. I love Star Wars. I love the original trilogy. I hate what he did to him in the remasterings. Like, there's some stuff that just he cleaned up, looks great, but I hate the changes he made. I want those. I want the original that I fell in love with Star Wars. I want that back, but I can't get it back because he had a vision for it to change it, and he changed it. And now I can't ever get back what I fell in love with. So
we need Star Wars couples therapy for Xana.
I think you're somewhat right, Meg. Though I think you're, and I'm not taking offense at it. It doesn't diminish my enjoyment of the franchise. Just say this George Lucas stuff isn't necessarily for me.
Like when I look at all of it, I was kind of like in a weird way, and it's kind of a feeling, but it's also somewhat analytical at the same time. Is like Star Wars itself is a genre in totality when you take the core of it.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm able to sort of like place where it feels on that spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
Like you know what I mean? And so like, and I like the prequels and I like the original trilogy, you know, so I put like all of those together. And how does this stuff feel in context of that? I'm getting more of it. And so it kind of like sometimes things feel like they're too in the periphery, saber copters, for instance.
Yeah.
And I start to feel like this is genre breaking for Star Wars. And that's where I start to go unacceptable.
Yeah.
But everything else in there, I've always had the perspective of there's always been 6 films that I love. So everything else is a bonus. But that doesn't mean, you know, you turn off critical faculties at that moment and just go, well, everything's great. Like I can't do that either. And
Yeah.
I won't. But also I do look at it and go like, you know, just am I generally enjoying this, warts and all? Because I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I as a kid, I was probably brainwashed into this in the big picture because I had to put the Ewok adventure on sometimes and just be like,
Right.
let's find something good about this because I want more Star Wars. There's nothing else. Something's gonna happen. Oh man, I kind of like that monster mask. You know, and it kind of do make it sort of work. Oh, the what are they called? Blurgs. The blurgs look kind of neat in stop motion. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. You'd have those little moments, but you're afterwards, you're still like feel like like that disgusted taste is in you. And so, but I don't get that with this stuff. So I for the most part, I'm having fun still. So that's kind of how I do it, though. That's kind of my take.
Go ahead, Meg.
I was just going to say, I very much agree with Jason. I kind of see the shows individually for what they are, and I try and find the best in them.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, other than The Bad Batch, The Mandalorian, and I think episodes 1 to 3 of Kenobi, there's not been too much I've enjoyed in this era as much as I enjoy those projects.
Fair enough. So three other real quick ones. These are not near as deep. This first one, Ducky Momo asked
Ducky.
if Zuvium loaned you his direct line to Patrick from Hasbro, right? And you could talk him into putting any non-Blurg, non-Ray figure into production, what would it be? So it can't be a Blurg, it can't be Ray. For me, that's season 1 Grief Karga in Vintage Collection that they skipped over. But you two aren't that much into the Hasbro stuff. Is there anything that you would...
Hasbro? Can you make a 5'7" Padme figure? I'm asking
Oh, no.
for a friend. No,
Jason.
Oh, okay.
Enhanced cup size and all.
Megan order one too.
That's the friend I was asking for.
Two others. Greg, Darth Elvis asked if you could 3D print any action figure, why would it be Darth Cheeks, and where would you display me?
Above Santa's fireplace, of course.
And then Darth Elvis asked another: if you create this is actually like a almost seriously real question. You could create a new Star Wars TV series on any character, any time period. What would the show be about?
Keep doing the Mandoverse.
Yeah.
Me and Rob decided that it would be Jar Jar Binks after the Empire rises, doesn't want to be a bureaucrat, starts learning Terras Kasi, and becomes like this crazy kung fu fighter. That's what we would do. That'd be rad. I'm all in for it.
I just started reading the comics for Dr. Aphra, and that character seems a lot of fun. The comics, the book I didn't care for. I didn't care for her book at all, but she might be fun. But the problem there is that she ties into Vader, and so yeah, I'm for me it would be post sequel trilogy, and would involve the sequel trilogy characters. Just me personally, that's what I would do. Meg,
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I kind of love the idea of Skeleton Crew. Just these kids just wandering about in the Mandoverse era, stumbling across some Snoke clones, things like that. I want to see the dark side of the early First Order and Imperial Remnants. That'd be really cool.
Yeah. Hey, Anthony, we posted the link in Discord. So if you look on in the Covert community, you look in my channel, you'll find the link to join. And we do have Star Cabal here that we're going to bring in to give us his take. So, hey there, Star. How you doing?
Hey, Star Wars Santa. Hi, Meg. Hey, Jason. Oh my God.
How are you?
It's been a long time. It's been a long time, guys.
Yeah, you're on summer break. You just got out of school, right?
I just got out of high school in May, and I did watch the Kenobi show, and I wasn't at school on that day. I felt like it was the perfect moment for me to watch it, and I was like, yeah, let me watch it right now. And now I did, and I feel like it was a great first episode. And the later episodes, I reviewed myself, and then I did some reviews on YouTube about it. And pretty much, like, I just didn't feel like episode 4 was like, the perfect episode to begin with. And it's just very weird of how Obi-Wan Kenobi is there, and it's pretty like worthy for like that. For that episode to like be flopping all over, and then fans are like, this episode sucks. I don't know how to believe this or whatever. So sorry if I'm moving my camera. Yeah, I'm at a place.
What specifically did you not like in the episode? If
Well,
you had
I
one,
was-
if you could just pick one thing, your chief complaint, what would that be?
I would say that it's just like, how would retconning this scene from episode 4 where Reva is like she's doing her interrogation mode, and then when Leia's like resisting it, Reva did not exactly know that Leia was force sensitive, I was like, she had to know. Then, because Leia was force sensitive, we all know that because of the timeline, and you know how the lore is on. And when it just happened, I'm like, are you serious? Like, why would she not know? I thought Reva was supposed to be the know-it-all girl and all that. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think so. I think that it's just because, I don't know, either the writer just didn't, like, you know, fully put on like, you know, like a note saying that, oh, let me guess, Reva has to learn that Leia's force sensitive, and then another writer should be like, oh yeah, but you know, retcon, so we got to leave it out. So
well, but I think this whole show's been written by one person. This isn't this isn't writing by committee. So I hear what you're saying. Your audio is cutting in and out. I'm gonna let you. That's okay. I'm going to let you go from here. You can continue to put something in the chat if you like. But thanks for dropping in, and we'll talk about your point here for just a little bit. Okay?
Yeah, it's okay, man. It's all right, man.
Thanks.
It's good to see you guys.
Yeah, it's good to see you too, Star Cabal. Good luck on your new channel. I know you lost your old one. You got a new one. You just started back up. So best wishes, my friend. Take care.
Thank you. And
all right.
Bye, guys. Love you.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye, Star Cabal.
Hey, look who showed up. And we did get a super chat from Sketchcraft again. He's going with the full Ahmed Best dream of Jackie Chan style Jar Jar.
That's our dream. That's our dream. We're ready to make it. Kathy, give us the money.
Yeah. Oh, so good. So good. From what I'm hearing from Star Cabal, it's the writing. That it's inconsistent with the characters, it's inconsistent with the overall story, and some of these problems he just can't get past. And I could appreciate that to a degree. Again, that's the big issues I had back with the prequels. Is to me it broke things, and I couldn't get past it. So. Like the deal. Let me just stop for 1 second because my brain is like jumping over. The interaction between Reva and Leia. What did you guys think of it? Did you like it? Not like it?
It was cringe.
Cringe. Jason, what do you think?
Yeah, I actually didn't find it cringy. I thought it was a little bit. It played like a procedural cop show in a way. Yeah. They kind of made Reva bad cop, but there was no good cop.
Yeah.
And I thought it was sort of for the kid a bit terrifying. She found it kind of terrifying. When Reva was interrogating Leia. She can't hear us, so. But
no, I thought it was awesome. I thought the young Leia did a great job. She was amazing. I thought Reva's interaction with her was dynamic. I loved all of it. And on the rewatch, I loved it even more. So
I like young Leia, but your question was, did we like the interrogation?
Yeah. And that is it. But the interaction between Leia and Reva, I loved it. The interrogation itself, maybe. I'm still good. I'm still good.
What I liked about it was it allowed us to get Reva being a bit emo, like her emo moments were sort of given over, like everything was taken from me kind of stuff. Yeah. Through that way, without it being like just out of the blue, everything was taken from me. Like I thought it was a tough way of doing it.
Right. Hey, Trev, good to see you. It's been a hot minute. Good to see you again. Thanks for joining. And Anthony has asked again. He's already part of the Discord for the channel. Can't find the link. It's in the Star Wars Santa channel in the covert. So if you're in the Discord and you're part of my Discord, it's in the Star Wars Santa channel specifically. So
Star Wars channel.
Go ahead, Trev.
I'm gonna say I actually like this episode. Like I think when we were talking about it yesterday, I said like it's like a 7 out of 10. It's good. It's not great, but I'm really liking actually now that I'm looking at it. I looked at it through a new lens today, where it's like Kenobi's doing themed episodes of the first 6 saga movies. So episode 4 here is like, you know, like a remix of A New Hope. Episode 3 was a remix of Revenge of the Sith. And they're taking themes from those movies and they're applying them to the same episode number kind of thing, right?
I saw Echo Base Network put a thing out yesterday. They were talking about it, and then they did a tweet about it. And you can't see that.
And so in saying that, maybe you'll expect Qui-Gon to show up next episode because Ben shows up in Yoda in Empire, right? But like, and it makes me kind of look at it in a whole new light. But saying that, I am really disappointed in like the dumb stuff they kind of do, where stuff like doesn't always make sense. Like we both were in Josh's thing this morning on his rant, Santa, right? Like,
right.
And, you know, and he's not wrong about some of that stuff. Like some of the overall the episode has a good feel to it still, but like they are doing some really stupid things with it. Like, you know, like that doesn't always make sense from a character point of view, right? So
yep.
You know.
Yeah.
But like what? Just to like what was like the
little things like so. Like the like Ice Cube son character, O'Shea Jackson Jr. Like so, at first he's against doing something, and then 30 seconds later he's all for it.
Yeah,
it's like they know Darth Vader's there, and it's like but Darth Vader's not chasing these ships. He's not doing anything about these ships. The snowspeeder and the snowspeeders and their ship are just able to enter that space with no problem. There's no like Imperial Star Destroyer up in orbit. There's nothing like there's no defenses in the Inquisitory compound. Like they're just able to. Everything's kind of too easy for them. You know what I mean when I say that, Jason?
I could. That one you can justify by the fact that if they say no one would think to attack it, Imperial arrogance has gone on with the Death Star.
But
there's also not a rebellion yet. So
Cal Kestis in the canon attacked it like 2 years ago, right, or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So you know, like it's.
I thought the Roken scene where he basically changes his mind about helping them within like 40 seconds was so dumb. It reminded me of that scene in episode 9 where I can't remember what that stupid person with the helmet was called. Poe's ex-girlfriend. She's like, not that
Zori.
You care, but I like you. It's like, fuck off.
Oh, I thought it was Felicity. I thought it was Felicity. My bad.
Yeah. With Roken, like I watched the episode a bunch of times and I agree that part didn't play well. It didn't play right. But what it's supposed to be is he goes, "This is a bad idea. You're endangering all of the people here," and then he starts to remember my wife. That was a little Borat there, but he remembers his wife, and then he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna help you." And like, but the way that it played was so quick. It was like, yeah,
like just like little things like that, and just. But again, it's not a big takeaway from me for the overall episode. But it's just like I am starting to see those things where it's just like, you know, they got to clean it up a little bit, clean it up a little bit so it makes a little more sense. Everything's a little more. You got to know where all the characters are from and how the characters would react and act, right? So
yeah.
But that's all I really want to say.
Yeah, I thought that was a fair take from Josh this morning as well. Look, if you overthink it, you can tear apart any Star Wars. You go back and Will Morgan put it in, you know, A New Hope. If you go back and you really get critical on it, you could tear it apart as well.
Could you give me an example of that in A New Hope where it's as dumb as within 40 seconds a character changing his mind about helping?
Well, you got
because it's very easy to say you could go back and say that about anything, but can you?
Well,
or is it just is it just a convenient argument?
Well, Jason just sort of brought up one with Luke and Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen. The grieving took like 3 seconds, and then he's gone. You can
Biggs
also
dies. Never even. It's like, my best friend died.
Yeah, you can
it's
go
not
back.
A plot point, though.
You can
it's
also
not
go.
A plot hole.
No, it's not a plot hole. Nobody said even that the thing with Roken's a plot hole. That's not a plot hole. It's just kind of
fully developed. It just needs to be developed better.
Yeah,
that's all. Like,
go back to
better.
Go back to Leia seeing Alderaan exploded, and what's the emotional impact of that? Go back to
She was probably remembering when her droid turned evil and was like, "I'm glad she's gone."
Yeah, Will
she
Morgan
could
brought
change
up Han Solo, right? I'm out of here, but then he shows up to save the day. Like, changes his mind off screen in a matter of moments. So
That's a very different changing his mind, though. That's like, you know what? I have a future with these guys. They were there for me. I'm going to help them. This is a guy who literally looks at Obi-Wan in the eyes and is like, I'm not helping you. And it's like, okay, maybe I am. I don't think it's comparable.
Well, I just think you can kind of make those same things, and some things that may be easier for some folks to accept are harder for others.
I mean,
And the same thing with Roken. Roken doesn't bother me at all. Like, I have zero, concern about that.
It doesn't impact the show overall again, but like it's just little things that are like just they need to. I just think, like I said, they need to clean it up a little bit. They can do better.
Yep.
They can do better.
Yeah.
All they had to do was cut the line of "I'm not going to help you. You shouldn't be here." All right, you got me though. And it would have played perfectly fine.
Yeah, exactly, right. Like it detracts from what the overall. It just little things that can make it from being like a 8 or 9 out of 10, in my opinion, to something that's a little less. That's all.
Yeah. Hey, Mike Porter, another super chat here. It says, Mike, there's nothing wrong with episode 4, Porter. Look, it's Meg Nesmith, last train to Blurgsville.
What's that a reference to?
The Beatles song.
Yeah. You're not Meg Beatle. Yeah,
I'm a huge Beatles fan. I don't know every one of their songs though.
That's okay. You're still young. You have time to.
I grew up listening to them. My dad was a music producer.
I'm giving you a hard time, Meg. It's okay. I get it.
I didn't get it at first either, Meg. It's okay.
It's okay. just give me a hard time. So
there you go. It's the freaking Monkees, not the Beatles.
Oh, whatever. A 1960s.
I guess you're not Santa Beatle.
I'm not. You know my feelings on some of the Beatles songs, right? We talked about it before.
Yeah,
John Lennon's not my jam.
No. Santa's not a socialist.
He's more of a David Chapman fan.
That's true. No, I thought that was a really good point, Trev. Overall, I'm enjoying it. Could they get better? Could they tighten it up? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, and Santa, Penny wanted to ask for Christmas that Kathleen Kennedy's fired, but she got tired and left. So sorry. I'm kidding.
Oh, that's hilarious. Who
would you replace her with? Like, who would you replace her with that would be better?
Well,
what happens if she gets fired and it's worse? It's way worse.
No, because like everybody goes, well, Dave Filoni, because he's my guy who likes all the same stuff. But like Dave Filoni's not really like a mega producer.
I don't think he's interested in being. Yeah, I don't think he's interested in that. He just wants to be. He wants to write the stories, kind of guide the continuity, but at the same time, like the producers have input on how it's guided. She's the head of the studio. She's gonna have input on how it's going, but I don't know how much input she has anyway. So I don't. But she is.
That's a fair point, Trev. And people keep saying Chapter 4 was bad. Kathleen Kennedy bad. Chapter 1 was great. Kathleen Kennedy bad. I mean, it's just it doesn't. The narrative doesn't change with the stuff they like or stuff they don't like. It's always Kathleen Kennedy bad, and I've tried to just look at her job as like chief officer over the company, the president of Lucasfilm. She has to approve budgets. She has to go to meetings and decide where money's going to go, which of the franchises is going to get, greenlit to move forward on whichever project they're doing. She's not writing the shows. She's not overseeing production. She's not overseeing shoots. She's not there saying, "Oh, I think you need to take another shot at that." Right? Like none of that's happening. If you were to take Dave Filoni out of writing,
one it's saying that, and that has happened in the past, right? Because she was all super happy with Rian Johnson's The Last Jedi. Yeah. And then she also had the dailies for like Solo and stuff like that, right? That's obviously why Lord and Miller was cut from that, right? So
yeah, and that's where I've said, look, the budget on Solo should come back down on her shoulders. because they spent too much money before they went back to redo the whole thing, and which bloated the budget. And then when it underperformed, she should have had some accountability for that. From that reason, not because you didn't like the scene where Solo threw the rock through the window and said it's a thermal detonator. You know, come on, that was it's a thermal detonator. I just charged it. Oh, you clicked with your mouth. Well, turns out it was a bit of a thermal detonator when it burned her up. The sun coming through the window.
Speaking of the Beatles, when they first filmed that, it was Mother Proxima, and it was they had like a whole Mother Superior. They had a whole thing with Lizard and everything in it. And with the character names, they were going with "Happiness is a Warm Gun" theme with the character names and all of that scene. And they switched it around a little bit.
Proxima shows up in one of the novels recently as well. There's
the one character no one ever remembers unless you bring her up.
Right.
Like most of the sequel characters.
Oh, ouch. You hurt my heart, Meg.
You know what? One thing that was on my mind earlier, though, when we were talking just about stuff with Star Wars, things don't really get to like sit. Like Kenobi doesn't come out, and then we just sit here, and now it exists with us. Like Star Wars stuff is constantly coming out, so it's sort of hard for stuff to resonate like over time, because we kind of just move on because there's something to move on to.
Yeah,
constantly compared to the past.
And that's the silver lining.
Do you think that's a mistake? Do you think trying to copy like what Marvel's doing, like by Disney, like as much output as Marvel's doing, is Lucasfilm doing that a mistake?
Now they gotta keep the money train rolling for them.
More Star Wars is better for me than less Star Wars.
Yeah, but for cultural impact, definitely not.
Oh, yeah. A couple of super chats to get through. Quentin said, "I'm happy Minovis moved on to objectively criticizing Kenobi as a whole versus attacking Moses or Riva." That's a good point. Like we're actually talking about content here. We're talking about the actual show itself and not some BS about political.
Can I just say, Will Morgan brings up a brilliant point, that there is no way Revenge of the Sith would have been made if Attack of the Clones was in the social media era.
Oh yeah. Matt said, if we do not see Kumail inside Ned B8 suit, I'm done with Star Wars. That's hilarious, Matt. Trolling Jason a little bit.
I just want to say something, Meg. There was a lot of hate online for Attack of the Clones in 2002. There was a lot. We didn't have social media, but like all the like I was on like message boards back then, and there was like tons and tons of hate on all kind of nerdy message board.
But George Lucas didn't care about that. I'm saying if it was Disney Star Wars making it, they would fire whoever's writing Episode 3. They'd get J.J. Abrams back in to ruin it.
Yeah, because they'd be looking at trends more than looking at I hear you.
Did you follow prequel rumors back then and stuff and spoilers by any chance?
Yeah.
Do you remember when it leaked out that Yoda in Revenge of the Sith put a bunch of sticks in his hair and then farted? And when he during Order 66, and that was how he gets off Kashyyyk. That blew up. It was everywhere. I
don't recall that, Jason. But
and then they actually like purposely leaked out. Oh, George changed his mind and he's not doing it.
You know what's funny?
And that was one time. That was one time I saw the internet actually change the Star Wars movie.
And we know that the story with Jar Jar changed because of feedback. But I saw something funny yesterday, and it just kind of goes to the point as well. The Rotten Tomatoes score on Revenge of the Sith is lower than the Rotten Tomatoes score on Morbius.
I don't know what the hell Morbius is.
It's the movie. It's
exactly.
It's a vampire in the Spider-Man universe.
And it's bombing terribly. So anyway, the kind of the narrative now that everybody loves Revenge of the Sith is not the truth. At the time, the fandom was hugely divided, and there was a lot of blowback. After Attack of the Clones.
But saying that, Revenge of the Sith was always considered the best one of the prequels.
Oh, sure.
It was always considered the best one of the prequels. So,
but so many people were so grumpy by then me included, right?
I think Rotten Tomatoes even existed then. Everything was on. I was always looking at IMDb then.
Yeah. So hey, Trev, anything else? I'll let you go and we'll
I'm
talk
good.
to Tony.
Bye,
I'm
Chad.
good. Take it easy. Take it easy, guys.
Thanks a lot, Trev. I really appreciate it. Tony, he's been in and out. I've seen when I bring him in and give him a chance to visit with us.
Hey, Jason. Hey, I've talked to you live, Meg, on this before, but I've never seen Jason.
Hey, Tony.
We miss each other. We miss each other every time he does one of these. Honestly, this is an honest question for all four of you. Hey, calm down. That's my dog in the background. Sorry.
Little Wookie.
When it comes to the prequels and the sequels, which one has more plot holes in your guys' opinions? Like, in terms of consistent storytelling and stuff like that.
And your audio is breaking up really bad. Really bad.
Can you hear me?
Can you
hear me now? Can you hear me now?
It's getting
Theo
real digital.
Bibble, what's going on? It's a communications disruption.
I was going to say it sounds like the Techno Union. You know, the guy that keeps turning the dial.
Yeah. So repeat your question, Tony, if you would.
Okay, what I was asking in terms of inconsistent storytelling and plot holes, which, in your guys' opinions as Star Wars fans, which one has more, the sequels or the prequels?
Sequels.
Being objective, Meg.
Sequel.
Taking your hatred out of it.
I don't even hate them. I wouldn't say I hate them, but I would still say the sequels, just because they feel like three separate movies and the prequels all connect to each other.
Yeah.
Jason, yourself?
When I look at it like from that perspective, Leia saying she knew her mother in Return of the Jedi and the prequels being like, nah, you were just a baby, is sort of in a way more egregious than what the sequels did, because the sequels just kind of tripped on itself and said that's not what we meant now, and they kind of have that open to do for better or worse. But I like the prequels better.
Yeah, I would throw the prequels under the bus again. Any chance you give me to throw them under the bus, I will. But for me, not only what Jason mentioned with Leia remembering Padme, but also doubling down on Obi-Wan and R2-D2, the story we get there, and making it harder for him to kind of pretend he doesn't know who he is. And Yoda, the relationship of Yoda with the whole deal we get in the originals, and then also now with Obi-Wan, that he from the prequels and seeing Luke and Leia born to Dagobah saying, well, if Luke's out, then all hope is gone, and Yoda saying, well, there's another. Well, that whole thing, of course, George retconned that in the original trilogy itself, but then seeing the scene in Revenge of the Sith made it worse. So
yeah, my answer, I rewatched the prequels and I rewatched the sequels. Being objective, not as a hardcore Star Wars fan as you three, I can agree with Meg that the sequels can be inconsistent, but I agree with Santa a lot more that the prequels are very they're not as connected as people make them out to be. Their storylines are more inconsistent than the sequels, in my honest opinion.
Yeah, and I'll throw in, just within the sequels themselves, Jar Jar Binks has a life debt. And then Jar Jar Binks is like, yep, I'm out, see ya. And he's gone. Like, what happened to the life debt? Right?
Well, Qui-Gon died, if you watch the movie till the end. So also, Santa, like half the things you just listed are explained. Like the R2-D2 thing's explained, as Obi-Wan pretending not to know.
Well, again, that's headcanon people made up afterwards.
It's George
that
Lucas's words.
Externally. Or it came externally.
So, Jason, I asked Meg and Santa this. I want your thoughts on the whole fan theory that Jar Jar was a Sith Lord. Jar Jar Binks was a Sith Lord. Do you think that's just ridiculous fans making up crap, or do you actually believe that? Do you actually believe that theory?
I don't. I'm not a fan of the theory. I'm like,
That's weird. He
the whole
mentioned
thing.
Darth Jar Jar and then he disappeared.
I had to, his audio was really bad. I just Tony, thank you for the questions, the interaction. But like with Star Cabal, I just gotta let you go and appreciate your questions. We'll answer. So Darth Jar Jar, do you think it was a thing and then George retconned it out? Or is it just a fun fan thing that
Ahmed Best came on my show and actually talked about it, and I agree with it. He was like he was kind of like a bullied nerd, and then now you're making him into this evil thing. He wasn't a fan of it. He thinks it comes from that fandom menace kind of side of things, and I kind of agree with him.
So we got one of the coolest brains in the community, Will Morgan, Meta Egg. Good to see you. I absolutely love Will, a great friend, and I love your content over on Meta Egg. You threatened if you guys don't talk about it, I'm going to have to come in and bring it up. So here you are. Go for it, Will.
You guys hear me okay? Is my sound
very quiet.
Very quiet, huh?
Very demure.
No better?
Little. Not great.
A little bit.
I think we might be screwed.
Well, you go, and then we'll translate for you.
Okay. Well, what the heck is going on? There's like all kinds of noises coming at me now. Well, I want to talk about Oakley glasses or Oakley goggles. Does anybody have any information on Oakley donating like 200 goggles to Star Wars? Because I don't know if you guys have noticed, but apparently all you have to do to make it seem like somebody's in a galaxy far, far away is just put goggles on their heads now. Specifically in the one episode where they go to the planet that Reva originally takes Leia.
Dayu?
Where she's being held by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. They seem to like have the same people walking back and forth and just put. There's one guy who's got like a conical, like a rice patty, if that's okay to say, hat.
Yeah, that's what
and
it's called.
He's got goggles on top of it. They're not even functional. There's a gray alien that has goggles that don't even fit his eyes. And then the next scene you see is Obi-Wan wearing Oakley goggles in like what I guess is like a scene out of Scarface. I think this is the problem everybody has. It's just the laziness. There's definitely, and I think it's almost like a purposeful laziness going on where they're just like, I think Kendall said it earlier, where they're just going for their target, their destination. They're not really cared about how they get there, but I'm okay with that because A New Hope was made on $10 million budgets. It's like popsicle sticks and stuff that you recognize, like Oakley goggles in the background, and I think that they're almost using that as like an inside joke, but to us it looks cheap. I think this whole series looks cheap. However, I like it. I like where we're going. I like the fact that we got Obi-Wan. I mean, that we're not really looking at the destruction of Anakin. This series is about the destruction of Obi-Wan. Like, he doesn't even trust anybody anymore. He can't even understand the good in people. Nobody has good in them, is what he tells Leia. And he's making bad decisions because of that. Like, he's failing more because of his doubt or his detachment from the Force and everything. And I think that's like what happened in episode 4 was a throwback to the animated Obi-Wan that we got from Clone Wars. And I don't think anybody is accepting it for that. I think everybody's kind of accepting it as like, this is just a filler episode, when in all actuality it was a connection of Obi-Wan getting back to his old self, of what he was capable of. And that whole like meta information that Star Wars is giving to us is getting lost in the Oakley glasses and shit that we don't like.
I'm giving you a standing ovation because that's how I feel.
I love Will. Will, absolutely the best. Appreciate that. No, that's a great example, and really nicely presented. The Oakley glass is a great example of the people are getting focused on, and not necessarily the overall character development going on between Obi-Wan. Well, with Obi-Wan specifically, the character development we've seen from him being broken, and then seeing where he is even in this episode from the previous episode, right? The beginning of episode 3 to the end, and then picking up here, he's coming back. Yeah, really good.
And I have like you go ahead. Sorry.
Go,
Sorry,
please. Oh, fuck, man.
I no, I wouldn't be surprised if they just were literally down in Los Angeles, going to like warehouse sales of clothing and items, and they probably like were like trying to find goggles and all that kind of stuff, and they probably just bought a huge batch of surplus Oakleys, and we're like, yeah, we could kit bash these into Star Wars stuff, and but we're noticing.
Oakleys and you get goggles. And you
I bet
get
you.
Goggles.
I bet
that
you
guy
that's
doesn't
what
look
happened.
space enough. Give that guy some goggles. Then when the one drunk like the gray alien comes out of the bar and he's got goggles on his head, and I just threw my hands like, what the? Those don't even make sense. They don't even the shape of his eyes. Like, those goggles would fit over one eye.
Maybe it's a
Like,
different
why
eye
is
you
it-
don't know about. No, I don't know.
It's just right over his third eye.
That's so good, Will. That's so good. Thank you so much.
I'll leave you guys alone, man.
That's great.
I mean, like, I understand the rant that Josh did today. It seems like every time I tune into Den of Nerds, Josh is ranting anymore. But, like, I understand what he said. He's not missing points. But you don't think that they thought about the little kid up underneath the legs? Like, that was a joke. It was a comedy bit.
Yeah.
Like, certain things like that, they're just, because they don't even care. Especially after the whole, like, Robert Rodriguez Hyman has been broken. Like, they're not caring how they're getting to it. All they're caring about is, like, when they showed Obi-Wan hitting the ground and being drugged through the fire,
Yeah.
out of context of the rest of the episode, I was like, wow, that's a really, like, graphic visual. And I think that's what they're going for. They're going for shocking visuals, but everything else around it is just details.
Yeah. Yeah. Well done.
Love
Well
you
done,
guys.
my friend. Thanks, Will. Take care.
Well.
Bye.
Well done. I love that dude. I love him. He's a great guy. He mentioned the fire bit with Vader at the end of episode 3, and a lot of reasons have been kind of put into why didn't he pursue Kenobi through the second fire, the first one he created. Why didn't he just go straight through there? What stopped him from pursuing Kenobi? Lots of speculation on that. And then in episode 4, he's taken Reva to task for letting him get away. When Vader had him literally on the coals, right? He had him down on the fire, burning him alive, and Vader himself put the fire out. So you get from the point where he was burning Kenobi alive to then taking out his vengeance on Reva for letting him go. And how does that fit together? How do we get from putting out the fire to not burn Kenobi alive to punishing Reva for him getting away?
Because they had Leia.
Because it's lazy writing. I don't think it's on us to speculate other than just bad writing.
Could be.
Yeah.
I was really defending it in the end of 3 because he purposely put that fire out. And that's why I use that as an example. Like, a lot of people aren't talking about that. Like, he was burning Kenobi alive. Why'd he stop?
Yeah, maybe he wanted him to be burned. Like, if you kill him, he doesn't have. That's not a big revenge if he doesn't feel the burn, so to speak. If you just killed him right there, right? But the big difference is I think that they had Leia. They had captured Leia, right?
Yeah.
So they know he's coming back. Like, the opening at Grand Inquisitor stuff and the narrative sets up he's gonna come right back. So we know, but they messed. But he thought Riva messed that up, which made all of that not worth it. I think that's what the narrative is saying. Whether we think it was efficient or bad or good is a different thing. But I think that's what the narrative was trying to say.
Yeah.
Wait, but how does Vader know about Leia?
He has a little comment in his ear, and it goes, "We got her, sir." I mean, I honestly don't know.
No, I think, Meg, all of this is pointing the right way. And Trev's right. I'm going to start off from a point of defending, and then it kind of breaks down. I think even Star Wars Theory was mentioning it in Josh's stream this morning. Like, the more he thinks about it, the more he lets it kind of percolate, the less he likes it. And while I came at it from a defense, I just can't. I get to a point where I can't defend it, and I just have to say, well, okay, because reasons. I'm okay with that. By the way, I'm okay. Hey, why did he quit burning Kenobi? Reasons. Why is he mad at Riva? Does it have to match up with him from the previous? Reasons. I don't really.
We're giving them too much credit for assuming they thought this through.
Yeah, perhaps not. And that's what I'm just like. Okay, I can also admit that maybe, and this is where I think we're going to go ahead and kind of wrap it up. I haven't had lunch. It's going on 2 for me, and but I can say I am enjoying Kenobi tremendously. I'm very happy with it overall. Episode 4, like it a lot, and I'll watch it again and enjoy it again. But that's not to say that I can't see where they could improve. The writing could be better. Some of the story decisions could be better. And so, is it okay to be critical? And like, even for my shill moniker, is it okay for me to say some of the writing isn't as good as it could be or should be? Yeah, I can absolutely say that, and I'll admit it and say but at the same time, I'm still enjoying the heck out of this.
That's fair. I think that's fair. I think if you are truly enjoying the heck out of it, and it's working for you, then that's great, because that's what I think that they were. I honestly don't think that they're like, what? People thought that was a problem. I think they're like, people might think this is a problem, and then they're like, well, most people think it's a problem. Will it really be a big thing? And then I think they come up with their hope. Their hope is people will go with it because it's a big moment, but they don't realize this is Star Wars.
Yeah,
everything is going to be analyzed forever.
Yeah, Meg, what you have thoughts before we wrap up?
I'll obviously watch the last 2, break them down and everything, but for me, there's no rewatchability on this show.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. And it makes me sad. We're very close friends, very, very close friends, and this is important that we can have these discussions as friends and have different opinions about the rewatchability or enjoyment of something and how well it ties in or doesn't tie into things that are important to you, and accept that we don't have to come in line with each other to still enjoy Star Wars for being what it is, and to continue with our friendship. Right?
Exactly. Yeah, I'm the exact opposite of Meg. I've actually watched this one more than I've watched any of them yet.
Yeah,
with enjoyment for it, but it just, it either works for you or it doesn't, and then it's okay.
Yeah. Quentin, another fantastic super chat. Thank you, sir, for that. It says, unfortunately, I don't think Lucasfilm nor Marvel, for that matter, can keep a large universe of content in order. Too much to keep up with, too many moving parts. Can't change my mind on that. I'm going to agree with you, and also take from my friend Meg and others who say, shouldn't mean that we don't ask them to, though.
Fair enough.
I agree.
Yeah. You guys, 2 of my very best friends in the world right here, joining me today. Thank you both so much, and I can't wait to talk to you again the next time. But for today, I'm going to steal a line from our other friends over at the Main Authority and say, you guys can hang around, but we got to get on out of here, right? So, and I very poorly quoted that, but that's going to have to do it for today. You guys have a wonderful day.
Have a good lunch.
Thank you so much. I'm going to go check out our new countertops. I'm super excited for this. And thank you all in the community for a wonderful discussion we've had today. This is great. This is great. And I'm privileged, honored, and really proud to be part of this community. You guys take care. All right. Bye, everybody.